Hi, you're listening to Phil DeBella, and this is Flashcast by PDB. Today we're going to talk about authenticity. So we have one of our listeners that sent in a few questions around authenticity. Now, authenticity is one of my key values. So one of my key and core values to me is about being authentic. Another word for it is integrity, doing what you say when you say you're going to do it. And it's the difference between saying something and doing different. Authenticity, integrity, very similar for me, but authenticity takes it one step further, engages to me accountability. So if we looked at it as a formula, authenticity would equal integrity plus accountability. And a person that is high in integrity and high in accountability, then to me is authentic. Then that ties into personal brand. So you can see how this all relates together. But specifically around authenticity, there's some questions that have been sent in by a gentleman by the name of John. So thank you, John. The first question he sent is, what is the difference between the person you feel you are and the person you want others to believe you are? Great question. Very powerful. And this to me comes back to personal brand. Personal brand is what people say about you when you leave the room. So an authentic person would get a piece of paper and a pen and write down a couple of key points of what you would want somebody to say about you when you leave the room. And that is the way you would behave. And that is, to me, captures the answer to that question. What is the difference between the person you feel you are and the person you want others to believe you are? Feeling is all about, if you operate in that feeling and be the person you feel you are, you're being authentic. But if you're operating in a way that you want others to believe in who you are, then you're being not authentic. So the key is all about personal brand. Piece of paper, pen, write down a few things that you want to be known for, that you believe makes your personal brand, and then act true to that behavior. And it should come from a place of what you feel you are. And that to me is all about authenticity. The next question is, how big a clash of values does there have to be for this situation to become unacceptable? Well, I think it's very simple that an authentic person stays true to their values. But what happens at the moment is that a lot of people don't actually understand or can't identify what their values are. And I've started this flashcast by simply outlining that authenticity is one of my key values. So if you understand what your values are, then you will, no doubt, operate with authenticity. And that will mean that you don't compromise. Your values are your values, and everybody's values are different. And therefore, an authentic person operates within the boundaries of their values, so will always be acceptable. The third question, how comfortable would you feel explaining your role in this to your family, close friends, or the media? As we know, I have a public profile and I'm very authentic. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm always right. Let's be honest. There's been many situations where I haven't behaved as good as I should have or haven't said things I shouldn't have said. But again, it does tie in. It doesn't make it right, but it does tie into my authentic self. However, it doesn't mean that you're always right and get it right. What is important is to make sure that, yep, you've got to be comfortable with it, but it doesn't mean that you're always going to be right. Your authenticity is sometimes going to get you in trouble. And obviously your family, your close friends, and sometimes the media are not going to agree with you. And that's okay. I always say that you can be authentic and you can be wrong. You can always voice an opinion, but do it respectfully. Do it with understanding. It is an area that I've tried to get better. So it's a very powerful question. How comfortable do you feel explaining yourself and being authentic to your family? Well, your family is going to accept who you are. It doesn't mean they're always going to agree, but they're going to accept your authenticity as your close friends should. Now, the media is a little bit different because obviously family and close friends, family, obviously we don't have a choice, but we have a choice on who we hang out. Just because we love each other doesn't mean you always like each other. Thankfully, most of my family, we love each other and like each other, most of it. And close friends, well, that is a choice, right? And we tend to obviously have close friends around us that are going to accept and share the same values or on the same journey. And you'll find that close friends move away when you're actually moving in different directions. And a lot of that comes back down to authenticity. But the media one is very interesting because, as I said, I've had first-hand experience in the space where my authentic self doesn't always get well received by the media. And that's okay. Again, it's okay for people to disagree with you and it's okay for you to disagree with others. But there is a certain type of behaviour that goes with disagreeing with others, and there are some boundaries and lines not to cross. And I've obviously learned that over the years and hopefully work on getting better and better at that. The next question, in 10 years' time, will you be proud of, ashamed of, or indifferent to this decision? Again, another powerful question and leads to brand. 10 years is a long time. However, I would love to know that every day I'm working on being my authentic self and looking at it from inside out, not outside in, which is a big one. Unlike business, where I always say, look at things from the outside in. Is your product or service relevant to a person? Is it solving a problem? when it comes to your authentic self, it's all about you internally. And it comes back to, are you comfortable with yourself? Do you understand what your values are? And are you working every day to be a better version of yourself? So the short answer in that question is, if you work every day on being a better version of yourself, you're learning from your mistakes, you're doing what you do well. Often the things you don't do well, you're improving on, but you're always constantly on that journey of improvement and working on being the better version of yourself. Then in 10 years' time, I think I'm going to sit back and hopefully be very proud of the person and the choices that I've made. But understanding that it's not always going to be perfect, and there's no such thing as that perfect journey. There are going to be slip-ups, and there are going to be things that you do wrong, and there are decisions you're going to make that don't work and are not correct, and that's okay. And one of the paradigms I use to deal with that is, am I doing the best that I can at the time that it's happening with the resources that I have? And if I follow that paradigm every day, every week, every month, do a check-in with myself, then hopefully in 10 years I can sit back and go, yep, I'm proud of that. I'm not ashamed of that, because I was doing the best that I can at the time that it was happening with the resources that I have. And the last question, what does your inner voice tell you around authenticity? Well, my inner voice tells me that I've got to be conscious about this, that to me, as authenticity is one of my strongest values, that I need to live my value every day. My inner voice is hopefully my subconscious that puts me on the right path, that I've programmed my subconscious enough to say, hey, authenticity is important to you. So when a situation arrives, my inner voice pops up and says, Philip, move left or move right, or don't move at all, because you need to be authentic on this. And so that's a powerful question, because to me, the inner voice is all about programming your subconscious. If you program your subconscious, then hopefully your inner voice pops up at the right time and keeps you true, keeps you sharp, and keeps you authentic to yourself. So, John, very, very powerful questions. I thank you for that, and I hope the listeners have got a lot out of that. But authenticity, one of my top 3 values, and something that I work on every day. And remember, if nothing else out of this flashcast, I want you, the listeners, to remember this, because it's one of the most powerful paradigms that I use in my life, whether it's personal, professional, family. Am I doing the best that I can at the time that it's happening with the resources that I have? And that is one of the most powerful and profound things I've ever lived by, in that template to be able to put me on stead to be better today than yesterday, and understand that life is a journey, not a destination. Till next time, you've been listening to Phil Di Bella, and this is Flashcast by PDB.